Hello friends, welcome here at TNV Academy. In this session, we will understand the requirement of clause 6.3.2.2 is audit planning details of ISO 19011-2018. Now, we will tell the outcome of this subclause. This subclause enables the auditor to understand the requirement of clause 6.3.2.2, that is, audit planning of the ISO 19011-2018. This subclause helps the auditor during the planning of the audit of management system standard. Now, we will discuss the small introduction of this subclause. In this subclause 6.3.2.2, we will understand the planning of audit. After understanding this whole session, candidate will do very smoothly the planning of management system audits. In this session, there are several factors and elements defined which are required in the planning of audit, such as audit objectives, audit scope, audit criteria, locations, physical and virtual, dates, expected time, and duration of audit activities, etc. Let us talk about the requirement of the clause of standard. The scale and content of the audit planning can differ. For example, between initial and subsequent audits, as well as between internal and external audits. Audit planning should be sufficiently flexible to permit changes, which can become necessary as the audit activities progresses. Audit planning should address or reference the following. Point 1. The audit objectives. Point 2. The audit scope, including identification of the organization and its functions, as well as processes to be audited. Point 3. The audit criteria and any reference documented information. Point 4. The locations, physical and virtual, dates, expected time, and duration of audit activities to be conducted, including meetings with the auditee's management. Point 5. The need for the audit team to familiarize themselves with the auditee's facilities and processes. For example, by conducting a tour of physical locations or reviewing information and communication technology. Point 6. The audit methods to be used, including the extent to which audit sampling is needed to obtain sufficient audit evidence. Point 7. The roles and responsibilities of the audit team members, as well as guides and observers or interpreters. Point 8. The allocation of appropriate resources based upon consideration of the risk and opportunities related to the activities that are to be audited. Audit planning should take into account as appropriate. Identification of the auditee's representatives for the audit. The working and reporting language of the audit, where this is different from the language of the auditor or the auditee or both. The audit report topics. Logistics and communication arrangements, including specific arrangements for the locations to be audited. Any specific actions to be taken to address risk to achieving the audit objectives and opportunities arising. Matters related to confidentiality and information security. Any follow-up actions from a previous audit or other sources. For example, lessons learned, project reviews. Any follow-up activities to the planned audit. Coordination with other audit activities in case of a joint audit. Audit plans should be presented to the auditee. Any issues with the audit plans should be resolved between the audit team leaders, the auditee, and, if necessary, the individuals managing the audit program. Let's discuss what clause requirement says. The range and material of audit planning can deviate. For example, internal audit and certification external audit of management system. The audit planning should be adequately flexible to allow the changes which are necessary in the audit process progress. The audit planning have to define the objective of the management system audit, the audit scope or client activity, including the description of organization and its activities, and the process to be audited, such as manufacturing process. The audit criteria and reference documented information and audit criteria is defined in the audit agreement. The site address and mode of audit, such as remote or physical audit, the dates of audit, time and total duration of audit, and composition of audit team, number of lead auditor and technical experts, the requirement of audit team to make use to themselves with the audit client facilities and their process. Example, conducting the tour of physical sites. The audit methods to be used, such as inquiry, observation, and examination or inspection of evidence, including the scope to which audit information sampling is required to get the adequate audit evidences, the roles and responsibilities of the audit team members, such as lead auditor and technical expert, as well as guides and observers, the allotment of proper resources, such as assets, funds, and manpower based upon consideration of the risk and opportunities related to the activities that are to be audited. Audit planning should take into detail as applicable. Description of audit client representatives for the audit. The working and reporting and communication language of audit, and this is different from the language of the audit team and auditee. The topics of audit report, such as audit scope, objectives, and findings of audit. Planning and communication preparations, including individual preparations for the sites to be audited. Any individual actions to be taken to define the risk to achieving the audit objectives and opportunities occurs. Informations relevant to confidentiality and information security. The follow-up actions report from a previous audit, for example, lessons learned like improvement, project reviews. Follow-up activities to the plant for the audit. Cooperation with audit activities in case of an integrated audit. The audit plans have to be communicated and available to audit clients, and if any issues in the audit plan will be resolved between the audit client and audit team. Now, we will discuss the terms and their definitions used in this session. Audit planning. There are two levels of planning the audit program: identifying the audit activities during the certification cycle, and the audit plan showing how a single audit is planned. For more deep understanding the audit planning, please read the below link file. Audit scope. The audit scope determines the extent and range of the activities and the periods, months or years of records that are to be subjected to an audit examination. Audit criteria. The audit criteria is a set of policies, procedures, and requirements against which audit evidence is compared. Documented information. The term documented information in ISO 9001 refers to all of the important information within a business that must be kept organized and controlled. It is basically a combination of documents and records. Follow-up actions. Review of actions. Now, let's take an example how to write non-conformities against clause 6.3.2.2 of the ISO 19011-2018. Standard requirement. The scale and content of the audit planning can differ. For example, between initial and subsequent audits, as well as between internal and external audits. Audit planning should be sufficiently flexible to permit changes, which can become necessary as the audit activities progress. Audit planning should address or reference the following. Point 1. The audit objectives. Point 2. The audit scope, including identification of the organization and its function, as well as processes to be audited. Point 3. The audit criteria and any reference documented information. 4th. The locations, physical and virtual, dates, expected time, and duration of audit activities to be conducted, including meeting with the auditee's management. Point 5. The need for the audit team to familiarize themselves with the auditee's facilities and processes. For example, by conducting a tour of physical locations or reviewing information and communication technology. Point 6. The audit methods to be used, including the extent to which audit sampling is needed to obtain sufficient audit evidence. Point 7. The roles and responsibilities of the audit team members as well as guides and observers or interpreters. Non-conformity evidence. During the review of planning, it was found audit planning of the management system audit does not address the audit objectives, roles and responsibilities of the audit team members and audit criteria. Dear friends, we have now come to the conclusion of this training session. See you soon with an exciting new topic. Till then, goodbye.